Each team with 30 wins on the season. One win away from the title game.
Ball was not tossed high enough. Denton Weber almost got it at face level. Straight man-to-man. And nobody was guarding Jamal Mashburn. He now has Weber on him. That wasn't by design.
What a matchup. Mashburn and Weber. Brown puts it up. Wow, he had to adjust in midair.
Tough shot, and of course, what will happen with Weber outside on Mashburn, that takes away the best shot blocker for Michigan. On the other end of the floor, Mashburn, a more traditional style, matches up with Jackson.
Ray Jackson, two-pointer. He had 1 foot over the line. That's a shot Kentucky will not take.
Well, Jim, if anybody has come up big in a different style for Michigan, it's been Ray Jackson. Leading scorer in the first 2 games of the tournament, 19 each game, which are career highs for him.
Good shot.
Now it's Howard on the switch, playing Ashburn.
Didn't travel, but my point about a shot that Kentucky will not take, Pitino does not want anything within 5 feet inside of the arc taken by his team. Exactly right, Jim. He certainly doesn't want anybody just that half step over. They say that's the worst shot in basketball, because if you miss it, if you're back just a half a step, it counts 0, but if you make it, it's 3 as opposed to 2. Dent, after a turnover, now commits a personal foul, the game's first. Interesting thing about Michigan, they have great finishers on the wing in King and Jackson, and Howard really helps them because he's such a good ball handler, get the ball up court. Rose at 6'8", throws over the top of most guards that try to stop him. Weber, Prickett. Great matchups in this game. Over the back, tipped away, but back to Howard, and Michigan has the 4-2 lead. And Prickett's down. He ran into Weber, and that is difficult on anybody. Weber's so strong. How about Prickett's play at the regionals, Billy? Absolutely incredible. Florida State 9 for 12, 22 points, 11 rebounds. You see him, very similar to the first game, as he goes to the floor and just comes up against a guy that's just strong. I might have hit him on the knee, with a knee. And it is going to be Howard Mashburn. That's going to be the matchup. The first occasion was a switch for Weber. Roderick Rhodes has come in to replace Prickett. And there's that double-team cross-court that Michigan does so well. In my estimation, better. They do the pro-style double from the weak side better than any team in college basketball. There's Rhodes driving. Oh, look out! Boy, both went down. But they're both quickly back on their feet. Now, Roderick Rhodes, although he has seen some limited playing time of late, may be as physically gifted as any player on the floor. He was the MVP of the Christmas tournament in New York, which Kentucky won just as a freshman. Called for the charge. Rose in the lane now. All the way Rose, 6'2" Michigan. And we have not seen the threes yet, Jim, and the reason for that is Michigan is playing out so tight. They're really defending the 3 well so far. Dale Brown, another unbelievable shot. Scoop play number 2 for Dale Brown. And of course, if you keep penetrating like that with a dribble, sooner or later, Travis Ford's going to be hanging around outside far enough to get his shot off. He has really been sheltered by Jimmy King, who's become a very good defender. Rose again, puts it up, gets the soft bounce. And this is the first time in a while Kentucky has been challenged in the first 2 minutes. Well, Jim, they scored 123 points in the games before Florida State, 123 points before their opponents hit 25, so they never knew what it was like to be anywhere near behind. Jimmy King pushed off. Steve Fisher 16-2 in NCAA play, and Michigan's road, well, they made it here without beating a higher seed than number 7 Temple. A 16, a 9, a 12, and a 7 seed in the West is what they had to do, and Dale Brown is the story early for Kentucky. A 3-pointer.
Well, we talked about the dome factor, and yesterday Rick Pitino did a great job getting his team ready for it because they spent about 45 minutes in practice and almost all of that on perimeter shooting.
There has not been a missed shot in this ball game.
Jimmy, remember, you mentioned Pitino coming here with the Providence team. They did not shoot well outside.
Jackson blocked inside, and Cricket back in the game, gets the rebound.
Great job by Dent to help out because that was a put away.
And when Pitino came here with Providence, Billy Donovan now on the Kentucky bench as an assistant coach was only 3 for 12. Mashburn misses his first try.
Yep, and Howard has done a good job on him so far. He's got enough size to stop him from shooting over him. Nice little turnaround.
He shoots over Mashburn. 10-7 Wolverines.
And Jim, what it also is doing is making Mashburn work on defense because Howard's a great low post player. And he's wanting to play down in the post against Howard as opposed to taking him outside.
Three-pointer.
A push off by Mashburn.
Can't save it. Out of bounds. It belongs to Michigan. Michigan basketball, when we come back, they've made 5 of their first 6 shots, and they have seized the lead. Meanwhile, Michigan, with the 10-7 lead, has won 11 straight entering this game.
Last loss for this club, a one-pointer at Bloomington, Indiana, against what was then the undefeated Indiana club in the Big Ten.
Howard.
Good Craddock, what a catch!
And look at the shot.
What a catch! There was no way that Weber was going to hang on to that pass, and those just arms went out and got it. Powerful, but yet soft hands. And he's got to stay with Ford now because Ford will flip up that 3 on him. And you see Steve Fisher screaming at Weber, stay out there with it. I think Weber was challenging him to take the 3. Here it is.
Back on Mashburn now is Weber.
Surprisingly, Ford not really looking for it, Jim. You notice he's been looking to pass as opposed to shoot.
Cricket. Almost a set shot, 3-point try, air ball. Over the top of the head, this shot will fall.
Now, because you thought it was going to be a half hook, look at Weber. He just reached out and caught that, and then the presence of the mind to stay with it and come up and under. As I said before, nobody has been able to finish in the low post like this young man in college basketball. And can he put it on the floor? Now he's laughing at Frick.
And a little smile on his face as he brought it to the front court.
We talked about the mind games, Jim, in this one.
Yeah,
he wants to wheel on him. He wants to wheel on him.
Howard over Dent. Tipped up by Jackson. Weber underneath. To the line for 2. Mashburn on the foul.
Some rebound coming in there from Jackson. Now here was after making that great move. Jim, what do you say about Weber in regard to the replays?
He's the best cutaway in college basketball.
That's what it is. I'm not technical enough to remember the term there. I was trying to think about it.
That would just classify as having a good time. That would not come under the category of taunting or woofing it or anything, right?
Not at all. He just loves to play. He's a supreme competitor.
He told me last week after they closed it out at Seattle, you're going to see us in New Orleans, and we're going to be playing with smiles on our face, and we're going to have fun again.
Well, Jim, a couple of things right now that you have to think about. Kentucky has got that deep bench that keeps coming. This has been a very quick game. The bench will start to come in play a little bit. But the other thing I've got to think about, Kentucky's bench has been able to come off very happy and relaxed because they've been in such big leads. Now when you come off the bench, you've got to produce. A lot of difference mentally.
Weber goes out with 4 points, 2 rebounds. Eric Riley, a 7-footer, replaces him. And it looks to me early as Andre Riddick comes in for Kentucky, replacing Dent, that Michigan is having its way inside against the Wildcats.
You know, sometimes when you are a little bit scared of what may happen to you, you really focus in, and that's been the case of Michigan so far in this game. They are playing with more intensity and concentration I've seen in them this entire year.
Ray Jackson, what an effort to get the steal over to Rose, and they have a break try.
Riley's got a chance.
Oh, they wanted the lob. And
smart play by Rose.
Yep, gives it up to Howard. Tipped by Riley. Riddick underneath. Belongs to Kentucky. No quick start in this game for the Wildcats. In fact, it's a 14-7 margin at the moment for Michigan.
Jim, as opposed to sending in waves of substitutions as Kentucky will do, Michigan picks their spots. You know, Riley, Weber, and Juwan Howard kind of rotate. Push off by Roderick Rhodes, and there's a little inexperience in his case.
And along with his charge, that means that's 2 on Rhodes.
You see him inside. Jackson just given great defense, and last year that was his primary role. Now he's stepped it up on the offensive end as well.
So Rhodes is out. Prickett returns after a brief respite. And Rob Pelinka, number 3, is in for Michigan. Pelinka this week was awarded the Walter Byers Scholar Athlete $10,000 scholarship award. Top scholar athlete in the nation. Beat out a kid from Bucknell and MIT. Graduate with a 3.91 in May. And head to law school. Will Rob Pelinka. Meanwhile, this one.
And Jim, I see a different Jalen Rose in this game as well. He's basically taken the leadership role, distributing the ball, making good decisions out there. And so far in the game, in the name of Travis Ford, his counterpart, he has not been able to get out at all.
Rose blocked by Riddick. Riddick, their top shot blocker. By the way, that foul was charged to Jared Prickett.
Oh, how about that crossover dribble?
Mashburn gets his first 2 of the night.
When he puts the ball on the floor with that huge body of his, he gets it so low, a big man can't get down to take it away from him. Looks like the bench picking it up a little bit, and that brings Weber off the bench for Michigan. We talked in the first game about the importance of staying low. Now watch that crossover. See, it's so low to the floor for a man with his power and quickness that you just can't take it away from him. I won't say it's as good as Hardaway's, but it's awful close.
Weber is back in for Michigan, replacing Howard. Hardaway this week announced he's entering the draft. Mashburn announced it during the season he's coming out.
Of course, Mashburn takes so much power when he puts the ball on the floor.
Well, that was a pass that was not thrown with much zip, and Rose had it picked off.
I think Brown's surprised. That was a great defensive play by Brown. I think he surprised Jalen Rose with his defensive ability to stop what normally Rose throws right over the top of guards' heads. Rose is first.
Dale Brown from Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Born in Baton Rouge, right up the road here.
Where another Dale Brown resides.
Right. Boy, Mashburn now is wanting to say, just as Weber did, get it to me and I'm going to take over for a while. So we see no mental cracking on the part of either one of these teams early.
Pelinka called on that foul, his first and the 3rd against Michigan. Final Four experience for the set of teams here. Well, Michigan had 10. This is, of course, going into the game 10. Carolina 9. Kentucky without a player with any Final Four experience, because they haven't been in a Final Four since 1984.
Right, and of course, Kentucky fans can remember that game when they controlled the semifinal game fairly well against Georgetown, and then all of a sudden in the second half could not get a basket.
They made, Billy, in that game only 13 of 53. It was the worst shooting performance in Final Four history. The last time Kentucky was in a Final Four.
That was Sam Bowie, Mel Turpin.
So far in this game, over 50%, 4 out of 7 Kentucky. Riley, little soft hook, hit the side of the backboard. Prickett spins away from Weber.
As opposed to what Montross did in the first game, Riley should have brought that ball back out.
Mashburn in one, and a blocking foul against Riley.
And off the bench comes the man that did a great job on Mashburn early on, Juwan Howard. And here's what we talk about. He's too quick for big men and too powerful for the smaller ones. Yesterday, he put an exhibition on of shooting from about 35 feet with perfect form that's as good as anything you want to see.
From really right about where Michigan's bench area is located.
Well, I would say close to where the official is standing, almost out there at half court, without altering his shot a bit.
So, a break in the play, 7 unanswered for Kentucky. They've tied it at 14.
Jim, what was interesting, Pat Kennedy of Florida State said to beat Kentucky, you got to break their pressure, contain Mashburn, contain Ford. And he said, well, we did 2 of the 3. They didn't do anything with Ford. You'd have to say right now, Michigan has been able to contain Ford, beat the break, but they haven't been able to handle Mashburn. Now Kentucky goes zone.
Michigan has missed its last 5 shots. And a save, Howard.
There's those great hands we talked about in the
Dale
second.
Brown goes behind the back to get out of the traffic.
How about that positive move?
He is really playing well early, although he missed that one. Prickett back up with the left hand.
And Weber says, thank you. Ford, nice job stopping the break.
Riddick forced the steal from behind. Ahead to Prickett. Prickett fouled by Jackson.
Riddick doing a great job inside, negating, first of all, Riley when he was in the game, and now Juwan Howard. Excellent defensive play inside. Here's the good hit ahead by Ford. Prickett, who, as you mentioned, Jim, fearless driver on the inside. Really impressed with him and his development so far at the University of Kentucky.
He told me yesterday, Billy, I grew 1.5 inches over the summer, and I may not be finished.
Well, you know, you hate to say Dave Cowens, but, you know, this kid's a fierce competitor, gangly player, but what I think has helped him with the late growth is the fact that he had the skill level of a 6'5" player, now on a 6'9" body. And wasn't it interesting where they said Rick Pitino couldn't decide whether to start him or Brasso in the game against Florida State? Pretty good choice, whoever finally made it. Over the top of the
Kentucky has
press.
taken the lead 16-14. 9 unanswered for the Wildcats.
And now they go back to man-to-man. Hey, Jimmy King's got Ford on him. They got to let him touch the ball down low.
Howard backing in and getting the basket to drop. +1.
Young man from Chicago.
And he waves to the bench. Come on, guys, let's get up. Let's hear it. And they immediately react over there.
Excellent turnaround jump shot. And there's Ford trying to help out, but too late as Jimmy King releases. Perfect rotation on the shot.
Riddick charged with his first.
Too late for Ford to give any help.
Howard, 70%. And Michigan regains the lead, 17-16.
And this young man without a point so far, Travis Ford, who has been on fire in the NCAA tournament. Try to get a solid screen for him. Actually illegal.
Way too high. Bounced off the glass into the arms of Howard. Weber, three-pointer. Kind of a flat shot.
How about Riddick?
Prickett, he'll challenge inside. And Rose comes out with it.
Time to slow it down if you're Michigan.
Halfway through the first half, 17-16 Wolverines.
Jim, time to slow it down and let Weber work a little bit. There he goes.
That's work.
Yep. Get it in the half-court situation. You don't want Kentucky, if you're Michigan, to be playing that 94-foot game.
Riddick between 2 defenders. Now Jimmy King, the only starter who has not scored for Michigan. To Jackson.
And there's going to be a foul on Jimmy King. Normally, when you go on a 3-on-2 break, as the middleman, it's your responsibility to pull up at the foul line unless you're taking it for a layup. And King made the big mistake. This young man's normally the finisher. See, he did not stop at the foul line and drew the charge.
That's 2 on King, Billy.
Yep. See that? He continued beyond the foul line by 2 steps, and that's where you're in no man's land.
Team foul number 6 against the Wolverines. Kentucky will be in a 1-on-1 on the next one.
And Jim, if you're Kentucky, you like long games. You like the teams that have to play a lot of possessions. If you're Michigan, you like a much shorter game. We're only halfway through the first half. So I'd give Kentucky the upper hand there. They're playing their kind of game, even though they're behind.
Ashburn.
Nice defense.
Ashburn has 9.
See, Jalen has to wait for Weber. Weber has just crossed half court. He's getting tired now.
And beating it, Mashburn, and he may just go all the way. Nope, give it up to Dent. Back to Mashburn. Good team play.
Jim, Weber has run out of gas, and that's why I said, now he's holding the ball up his own, saying, wait on me. They have got to make it a half-court game or Kentucky gains control.
Kentucky has the lead, 20-19.
It's not only a matter of conditioning, it's a matter of bench and how you're used to playing. They're getting tired. And you make mistakes.
Ford back to the middle. Missed layup by Dent. And off Jimmy King.
Steve Fisher could even think timeout here, Jim, to get this game slowed down.
Rob Pelinka comes back in for Michigan. He takes King out of the game. Weber stays on the floor.
Well, I think that bench is going to have to go 4 deep. Riley's going to have to play some. Bosco's going to have to play some because Ripatino's doing a masterful job with his substitution pattern so far.
Ashburn after the crossover dribble and a soft touch.
We'll mention that all day long because it's an explosive weapon.
Ashburn with 13. 13 of Kentucky's 22. Push off against Dale Brown.
And Jim, it's not that the press has turned the ball over. What the press has created is a style of play which really fits into Kentucky's hands. And there's that crossover by Mashburn. Rolls that shoulder in there so that you can't get the ball away from him, and then a very soft touch in the end. Charles Barkley, you know, when you've got the powerful body and yet the soft touch, tough to match up.
Bosco in for Jackson, and Riley comes in for Chris Webber. You're looking at Jamel Martinez of Kentucky, number 44. And there's Webber getting a rest.
You know what I sense? I sense Rick Pitino thinks I've got him on the run right now, don't you? And he's going to his bench, forcing Steve Fisher to go deeper on his bench than he'd like to at this point.
Well, it's a good time if you're fatigued to get a blow because there's a television timeout coming if this free throw is made, so it gives him an extra 30 seconds or so. Next dead ball will be a break. And there you go. Teams head to the bench. A lot of talk about this game. It certainly hasn't disappointed so far. You see Jamal Mashburn on the game summary, 13 points. He did not score in this game until 12:53 remaining in the first half. We're at 7:53 right now, so that means in 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of game action, he scored 13 points.
And no reason at all not to think why they got right back in the game. He's had 26 double-doubles in his career, 9 this year. Of course, his biggest was 38 points, 19 rebounds against Eastern Kentucky.
He's sitting at the moment. Jeff Brasso, number 14 for Kentucky, on the floor.
Does that mean Travis Ford may look to score a little bit here?
Now away from the ball,
yep.
And they call it on Ford.
No, Martinez setting a solid screen against Pelinka.
There's Jamel Martinez.
Mashburn had a long rest, Jim. Rick Pitino using one of those NBA-type moves where you sit a guy down right before the timeout, let him use the timeout, and immediately get him back in to give him what amounts to about a 3-minute rest. Pitino, of course, an outstanding professional coach with the Knicks. Took over a losing situation, and as he has in every college job he's had, Boston U, Providence, and Kentucky, turned it into a winning one. Obviously, one of the great coaches in America.
Pelinka with one more. Pelinka, the only player still with Michigan who was active on that 1989 championship team. Drops 2 of them to put Michigan back in front by 1.
And Jim Pitino on that last occasion was really letting the referees have it in terms of what Michigan is doing, holding on their end of the floor. Just a little bit of a chess match for a coach, and maybe did he draw a foul for him?
Outside push off on Juwan Howard. Called on Juwan Howard. His first prelude to a championship Monday night at 9 o'clock. And then the Michigan-Kentucky winner against North Carolina.
Jim, you're talking about being assured of 2 number 1s going head-to-head. This was the first year ever that the Big Ten had 2 number 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament with Indiana and Michigan. Of course, those 2 teams were the first ever teams from the same league to face each other for a national championship back in 1976.
By the way, Billy, we were talking about it earlier. There has been one other time when 2 number 1 seeds met in a final, and that was right here in New Orleans, Georgetown and North Carolina.
Talking about for the championship game.
For the championship game, yes.
Well, you had 2 #1 seeds meet in the preliminary there too, but because when you had St. John's play against Georgetown.
That was an 85 as we see Juwan Howard score for Michigan.
That's a walk.
Got away with it to Dent for the easy one inside.
Great dish, though. Got a running start on that particular move before he put the ball down. There again, Howard, it is such a great aid to have a big man that can catch the ball out there in the middle of the court. Montross does it so well for North Carolina. Good screen that time by Riley.
Rose from the backside, and a foul called against Riley.
Jalen Rose trying to get cute. Said he was pushed from the back on that particular play. We didn't have the angle to see it.
Riley has 2 on him now.
We saw him rub right off Riley. There goes Rose. Did he get pushed? I never did see it, Jim. I don't think he was pushed at all. Maybe he's trying to do what Rick Pitino did and work those officials a little.
Be a 1-and-1 for Mashburn as Weber comes back in, throws the towel over to Riley. Rose also sitting. Mashburn 1-and-1. Rick Pitino's first recruit.
Crashed over the back of Pelinka, no call.
Weber over Prickett. He wanted to do that all the way.
Well, tough to ask this freshman to play Weber. In time, maybe, but today's tough.
27-24 Michigan. Dale Brown can tie it here, and he does.
Jim, a misassignment as Michigan went zone and nobody was in that area. Weber was shouting instructions, but nobody got over there.
Dale Brown averages 9. He has 10 already. Weber. Prickett got lost for a moment, and they took advantage.
As I said, not this year.
That's the 6th lead change in this game.
Again, nobody on Brown. He'll put it up. Smart move by Juwan Howard. He was going to fire it out to Weber.
King leaning. Weber tips. Weber 3 straight trips down the floor has scored. He now has 12.
But look how Kentucky relentless pushes it right back up the floor.
Dent, little 2-footer.
And now Michigan a little tired.
5 minutes remaining in the first half. Michigan by 2.
Nice play by Steve Fisher. Saying pull the ball back out, use a little clock, let Chris Weber get a rest.
Bosco looking for help.
Geez, Mashburn could have had a 5-second count on him. He relaxed. Nice move by Steve Fisher here. Turn it into the 19-9 game.
First time we've had to talk shot clock in this game, and push off underneath against Dent.
Jim, every possession in a game like this so important, and there was some great coaching strategy by Steve Fisher. You know, he could sense Weber is worn out as we see him bent over right now holding his pants, which is the all-time telltale sign.
Delk is in for Kentucky. Tony Delk, 0-0. And also Andre Riddick. Dent sits with 2 fouls.
Riddick, with the great defensive play down in low when he first came into the game, really turned some things around from Kentucky when they were down by about 7 points early in that first half.
Wow. 1 more for Howard. That one almost reached up and touched the shot clock. Carolina won today earlier as Donald Williams scored 25. Eric Montross 23. Ray Jackson waiting to check in. Another one of those stats to look for, Billy, when Michigan shoots more free throws than its opponent. 22-0 on the season.
Well, another thing that I'm looking for, and that is for Travis Ford to get untracked offensively. We're talking about the MVP of the SEC tournament, MVP of the regional, and the man that just set everything on fire against everybody he's played the last 5 games has been silent today. but he's been patient. Give him credit for that.
Prickett. Foul on the outside. He has a nice move to the basket, doesn't he?
He is a terrific looking young player. I mean, the moves that he's developed for a man his size at this young age is going to spell some great things for him.
Ray Jackson with his second. It'll be a 1-and-1 for Jared Prickett. Here's the move we talked about.
And there you see, I mean, he's a fearless player, too. He puts his head down. You think of great players from West Virginia. They had that great run with your old broadcast partner, Rod Thorne. And
Hot Rod Hundley.
I mean, Hot Rod Hundley, and then, excuse me, I'm thinking ahead of myself.
But Thorne was from West Virginia also.
Then they go Hundley, and then they go Jerry West, and then they go to Rod Thorne.
I asked...
Rod will like the fact that I had him in a younger age.
He was only joking, Hot Rod. By the way, I asked Prickett yesterday, last year's West Virginia High School Player of the Year. I asked him yesterday, who's the most famous high school player ever out of West Virginia? He pondered for a moment, and then he said, I'd have to say Bimbo Coles.
Oh. Boy, now I'm not aging that much. There's a guy from Cabin Creek that wasn't bad.
Pelinka, if Prickett closes in on him.
I don't think Jerry West would be angry with him, though. You see Rose tried that over-the-head deal, and Ford didn't go for it at all. They're back in the zone now, 2-3 zone. Nice
Lincoln.
fake.
Beautiful fake, and the three, too strong.
Prickett trying to take the ball away from those iron hands that are so soft, like Chris Webber.
The Associated Press All-America team. Jim O'Connell and company coming up with this. Mashburn, Weber, Bobby Hurley, Hardaway, Cheney. Montross, by the way, second team.
You know, Jim, this year, I think more than any year I can remember, so difficult to pick the #1 team in the nation. We had 6 different teams who were at that spot at one point in the season. You pick a 5-man All-American team, you leave off so many quality guys, and then you say, hey, let's pick a Coach of the Year. And how difficult that was this year. Great balance in college basketball.
By the way, Prickett charged with his second. And Weber, not a good free throw shooter, buries them both. And the timeout that you get under 4 minutes. Michigan by 4. Billy, I brought my home video from my summer vacation. Nantes in France. I'm in the Louvre in Paris looking at the Mona Lisa when lo and behold, it's true, I ran into the Fab Five and company. There was Juwan Howard and Steve Fisher. You know, it wasn't like, you know, it already had 7 games
I'm
last
supposed to
year.
be the art collector, Jim. Of course, I don't believe either one of us come up with the cash for that one.
Our research, our means of preparation knows no boundaries.
That looks to me like that should be a business tax deduction of going over there and working at home.
Thanks for inviting an audit on national television.
There's Mashburn again with another great drive.
Mashburn with 15 first-half points.
Jalen looking for some help.
Oh, Jackson turned his head and turned it over.
Well, Jalen was looking for help. Everybody released. Pelinka didn't come back. Jackson came back, but that's too long a pass to have to throw against the press. See that all the way across court. Ray Jackson took his eye off it, and the press counts that time for Kentucky.
By the way, it's been pointed out to me, Michigan was on an 8-game tour of Europe last May. That's why they were in Paris. Dell. Weber with position. Under 3 minutes remaining in the first half. They want the lob. Jackson has it at the other end.
4-on-2 break that time, and Jalen Rose wisely went over the top with the pass. Travis Ford just cannot get open. But that piece of ball handling stopped on a dime. 245 pounds going full speed, just held it up. There's the crossover.
They were right in his face on that one, though. And they rifle it ahead. Weber, what kind of move was that? They call him for traveling.
Here we see the alley-oop going right over the top of Ford. If he puts it on the floor, there's an opportunity for the defense to get there. Jim, on that last play, Weber did not convert. But I would say that the reason he didn't convert is probably the pass should not have been thrown, because he was against a smaller, quicker man to start off with. Here's Ford trying to get something offensively.
Ashburn high off the glass.
He
has made Kentucky's, well, 7 of Kentucky's last 8 field goals have been made by Mashburn.
Weber needs to take his time.
Palenka back out to Rose.
Good judgment by Jalen.
Jackson had it stripped, but his wrist was hit by Riddick.
Jim, isn't it amazing when Michigan can keep this game to a 19-foot 9-inch game inside that three-point line? It's all theirs. The minute it gets extended to 94, you see Kentucky make their tremendous comeback. So just a mind game going, and I'm sure both coaches can see that and are going to try to alter the strategy of their opponent.
Jamel Martinez in for Riddick, who has 2 fouls. Rodney Dent also saddled with 2.
And I'll tell you another thing both coaches are looking for, Steve Fisher more so probably than Rick Pitino, and that is a thing called halftime. Just to let their players sit down a little.
Rodney Dent and Riddick with 2 each. Ray Jackson will shoot 1 more free throw.
Jim, one of the things that Pitino's noted for, of course, the 3 years before he got to Kentucky, the most threes they ever took was 409. In 1992, they took 888. In the tournament so far, they've averaged 22 a game. So far tonight, they've taken 6. So that part of their game has not been there. And that's what got them here. Nice feed.
Ashburn turned his head. They got away with it. Ford. Ashburn back up. And Palenka comes away with the rebound.
Weber and Martinez had a takedown match on the floor. That's why they weren't under the boards.
Travis Ford still has not scored. And Roderick Rhodes really hustling for that loose ball, but last touch by Rhodes.
Nice sportsmanship that time by Ray Jackson.
Jackson will be replaced by James Voskuhl. He had a big game, did Voskuhl, in this spot last year, Billy, against Cincinnati. Came off the bench for 9 points and 4 rebounds.
I'd say that he was the reason, Jim, the difference of Michigan being out in the semis as opposed to Cincinnati.
Here's Voskuhl, top 3-point shooter this year, 47% for Michigan.
Mashburn and Weber down inside, giving up nothing to each other.
Shot clock at 5. Voskuhl.
Palenka keeps it alive.
Kept it up for Weber.
Made a great defensive rebound on one end and then keeps it alive on the offensive end.
Kentucky can go for the final shot, trailing by 5.
The superstar student becomes the superstar rebounder. And Kentucky wants just 1 shot. You have to think about the drive by Mashburn and try to kick it out. Steve Fisher, again, wisely saying, stay on Travis Ford after he drives. They're screaming at Palenka.
5 seconds. Mashburn on the drive, gives it up to Ford, kicks it to the corner. Dale Brown misfires, and Michigan has a 5-point halftime lead. The Fab Five leads by 5. Hoping to advance to Monday night's final against North Carolina. So at the end of the first half, the score, Michigan 40, Kentucky 35, and CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA basketball tournament will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Well, he's had such a tough time in the NCAA tournament with a record
poor
of
guy, isn't he?
16-2. Only Ed Jucker with 11-1 beats him all time. Ed Jucker, of course, in his very first year, took his team at Cincinnati to the national crown and then backed it up the next year, and of course then lost to Loyola of Chicago in year 3 for his only loss in that run. And look at the little zone played by Kentucky to start the second half. Michigan has been known as a suspect team from the perimeter, but they're so tough inside.
Rose around the rim and in for a 7-point Michigan lead.
Jalen just creates the shot when he goes inside like that.
That matches Michigan's largest lead of the game.
There's a switch out on Travis Ford. Great job by Weber.
Weber with 9 rebounds in the first half to go with 16 points, while Mashburn 17 on the other side. 17 points, that is.
And Jim, both of those guys, when called upon, just put the teams on the back in that first half. And Mashburn with that great run of 13 points there. And Weber then just came right off the bench and did likewise. Jawan gets some help from Weber. The second time Weber is switched on out with a smart play.
Shot clock at 10.
And there's the third time. Weber makes 3 great defensive plays on 1 possession. None will show up on the scoreboard, however, but those were 3 outstanding plays.
Underneath, Dent trying to gain position on Weber. They call it on Dent, his 3rd.
Well, of course, Kentucky as a team cannot get in foul trouble because they come off the bench with so many replaceable parts, with the exception of for Mashburn and up to this point for Ford.
They left the lane open. Rose misses the short shot. Travis Ford comes out with it.
Jim, we're seeing a Travis Ford that we have not seen this year. Remember how great he played against Indiana.
Mashburn too strong. Weber has a double-double, 10 rebounds now.
King's a great finisher.
What a pass!
Oh, Ford, a great play.
King tries to save it. Kentucky basketball.
Well, we've been talking about Travis not getting it done on offense, but he did a great job on defense to stop that break, because Jimmy King and Ray Jackson are great finishers.
Ford and the entire Kentucky bench scoreless in this game.
You know, Jim, out of their 14 players, 12 of them have had 10-point games or more. So it shows that bench can score.
And they throw it away. It was intended for Prickett. He thought maybe he had another teammate behind him. How about that?
There's those hands again.
Push off. Called against Weber.
Just as we saw in the first half. Oh, this is the one that Travis Ford, you'll see the angle here that Travis makes the great defensive play. Well, he actually kind of mugged Ray Jackson. We didn't see it from this angle, but probably committed the foul. So
I don't think there's any doubt he hit him in the chest.
Got away with it.
Dale Brown, a superb first half.
Goes to show you that the referee's eyes with the proper angle can make good calls, and without it, can't.
Ashford spinning, and Rose reached in and knocked it away. Jackson hits the floor, fouled by Ford.
Saved the basket, though, did Ford. Here you see that Ford reaching in, caught Ray Jackson's leg, and that put him on the floor. Rhodes in.
No points for Ford. 0 for 2 from the field. 4 assists, 1 turnover. Prickett sits. Roderick Rhodes has come in for Kentucky.
And Jim, just looking at the Michigan players with that halftime that gave them the rest, they look pretty fresh, don't they? I mean, it doesn't look like they are ready to wilt in regard to the style of play. Jackson on a solid screen gets called.
Jackson's third. Second of the second half against Michigan. We're 2 minutes, 32 seconds into the second half, and Kentucky has not scored in this half. I hate to hearken back to Seattle, Billy, but it was that second half against Georgetown in '84, their last Final Four, where they just could not score.
Ooh, that was a good grab.
Weber rejected by Weber. Jackson tips it to King, the 2 roommates ahead for Michigan. King misses, Jackson follows.
They cannot finish off. There are 2 break opportunities, couldn't finish it.
Here comes Ford. He's on the board for his first 2.
We see somebody hurt here. Mashburn, I think, has some blood coming from his hand or wrist. It's on his jersey. Now, we talked about in that first game, Montross had to sit down, and he has to come out of the game, which hurts Pitino. The other thing that hurts, a double penalty. It stops the game for a while. It gives Michigan a free timeout.
So Prickett will come in for Mashburn as they address the scratch. Mashburn still looking, trying to find out where it's coming from.
Trying to find out where he's bleeding. He's got to take the shirt off. There's the man that you don't want to fool with.
That's Robert Mashburn, former heavyweight boxer.
And you know, a heavyweight boxer knocked Jamal Mashburn off the cover of Sports Illustrated. Riddick Bowe with his win over Evander Holyfield. Mashburn was intended to be the guy on the cover that week.
Rose.
It's about the 4th leaner he's made today. Reach. Weber on a reach.
And for Weber, his second. Now Mashburn having
Well, now we know
changed
why
jerseys. He's back in, and it was not blood from Mashburn.
Well, now we know why they couldn't patch it up, because it wasn't his cut. But I don't know who came out of the game, so there's
Ford up high.
Juwan Howard down on the floor.
Palinka in for Michigan. Bounce pass to King, and it trailed him too much. And we've now discovered that the blood was on the elbow of Ray Jackson.
Jim, there was a case on that bounce pass. Why, from a standpoint of just technique, you want to keep 2 hands on the ball when you're dribbling and getting ready to make that long bounce pass. One hand didn't give him enough control to give the lead properly.
Dale Brown, 3-pointer.
Hit some big ones in the first half.
Billy, he has 13 points.
Dangerous pass.
Mashburn read it, but couldn't get to it. Howard.
He's so good from that range. Michigan kind of lucky in that, because Jamal Mashburn would have picked that off and gone all the way.
This layup, but Mashburn on the follow, and the foul on King.
Hey, Riddick, Mashburn, and Rhodes are so quick to the basket on any misses by Kentucky.
King has now 3, Ray Jackson 3.
Jim, we talk a lot about the history of the game. These 2 teams met in 1966, the great Rupp's Runts, and of course led by Louis Dampier and Larry Conley, and a guy that we all know by the name of Pat Riley, who was the leading scorer on that team. They are the ones that ended the great career of Cazzie Russell, who went to 2 straight Final Fours in his sophomore and junior year, and then was stopped by Adolph Rupp's great team that was so much fun to watch. Not a lot of size, but one of the great ball handling teams of all time.
Speaking of Riley's, Eric Riley came in for Weber, but there's a break in the action. Michigan's lead, 46-41. If it's North Carolina and Kentucky, you'll have the 2 winningest programs of all time. If it's Michigan, North Carolina, they met on December 29th this season at the Rainbow Classic, and the man with the ball, Jalen Rose, on a follow-up shot, beat him at the buzzer, 79-78.
Kentucky looks like they're showing a little zone. Are they going to stay man? Just man-to-man the way Michigan was set up. You know, Riddick is so quick. He's giving Riley fits. Nice defensive set for Kentucky, and Michigan staying patient.
12 on the shot clock. Easy E, Eric Riley. They call him Easy E, and that looked rather simple on that one.
Just at that timeout you just mentioned about Riley, didn't seem like he was getting it going, and he's given him so many valuable minutes in the low post this year as that rotation player for Weber and Howard.
Offensive charge on Brown. It's embellished that point. Riley against Temple had a big first half. Even though they trailed, he was their star player the first half. In the first half here tonight, he had a couple of quick fouls. How about this one?
Nice job that time by Jalen Rose, just holding his ground. And now they have Jalen Rose not even involved with bringing the ball up the court. It's Jimmy King and Juwan Howard. Jalen trying to go down inside on Brown. But what that does nice move by Steve Fisher, is save some of Jalen's energy at this point in the game so he's there at the end of the game. You want the ball in his hands at the end.
Rose. He loves that running one-hander, doesn't he?
Well, at 6'8", he just can lob it over people. And of course, the referee does not stop the game. Jamal Mashburn tying his shoe on the other end. Ford waits on him.
Biggest lead of the game, a 9-point advantage for Michigan.
Jim, I think that Rick Pitino has got to figure a way to get Travis Ford some shots. They've got to create another offense.
Palenka holding underneath.
Here is this leaner that we've been talking about. It's either the fourth or fifth one he's made of the day. He releases it on the way up, and then he pulls a Chris Webber for us. Little tongue comes out. And he'll dog you a time or two, huh?
Rob Palenka with his second and a steal off the inbounds pass.
Rick Pitino had a freshman taking the ball out of bounds.
What a move. Oh, wow. Jimmy King had to go underneath the defender, and it's a double-digit lead, 52-41.
See, Ford just can't beat King one-on-one. He needs to set a screen so that he can get open for a shot or two. He's very frustrated now. Jimmy King too big for him on the dribble.
Mashburn, three-point shot.
Beautiful.
So sweet. The three-point land cuts it to 8.
Jim, I know they do a lot of shooting practice, but we watched that shooting, a little bit of horse game between Ford and Mashburn yesterday. I wonder if it wore Ford out.
He's only Ford 1 of 5 from the floor in this game. Rose, fall away. Followed up by Riley. Wow.
And hung on the rim unnecessarily. I guarantee you next year you're going to see a big change in interpretation of the rule on that play.
I haven't seen it called all season long.
It really helps the offensive player to be able to maintain balance up there, but when he has no chance of being injured, he doesn't need to hang on it.
Howard bumped him. Watch Easy E, as they know him, in the Big Easy on the follow-up.
Nobody blocking out. Now see, just hanging on the rim like that. No place for it in the game. There it is. There's the dunk. Play is over. Should have been a technical foul without question.
Howard goes out with 2 fouls. And most dunks this season, not in that case, but most dunks have turned into almost like an exercise for a chin-up or a pull-up.
And now you have Webber, Mashburn with Howard out. Webber's going to try to play him one-on-one, and of course Mashburn will take him outside. Try to beat him on the dribble from 20 feet.
Rickett, bounce pass to Mashburn.
And there's that nice drive by Prickett again. With Howard out, who's the secondary ball handler?
You know, Michigan looked careless on that entire sequence right there.
Well, see, they cannot afford when Juwan Howard goes out of the game to let Jalen Rose go long because they don't have a primary ball handler. It can't be Riley. It's really not where you want Webber because then he has to run too much, and it's not Jackson. So Jalen will have to come back down court while Juwan Howard rests.
Palenka sits, Ray Jackson in for Michigan. That pass thrown away wildly by Mashburn.
Jim, it's not as easy to come off the bench for Kentucky players and just shoot up those threes like they were in earlier games. Now those shots mean something in a half-court set, and they're not looking to take them.
Fisher waves his team to get back on D as Prickett misses at the other end. And Riley sweeps it away for the Wolverines.
Since Riley made that turnaround jumper, he's made some valuable efforts on the boards.
Dent picks up number 4.
Great two-way communications of the eyes between Rose and Webber. Allowed that lob to be right on the money.
11:06 to go. Mashburn has 23. The rest of the Kentucky team has 23. They trail by 8.
Well, we talk about history, Jimmy. Two fellas on that bench, Delray Brooks and Billy Donovan, now, of course, working for Rick Pitino. We're part of that Providence club that came in here to the Final Four with Rick. Got knocked off by Syracuse. Delray, of course, transferred from Indiana to Providence. But the thing about it is, Rick Pitino now becomes the 10th man to take two different teams to the Final Four. The last to do that, Lou Henson, when he took Illinois here a few years ago. What a rebound.
Michigan missing twice inside. Look at Delray Brooks, one of two high school players to try out for the Olympic team.
That's right.
Back in 1984.
That's right. Danny Manning, the first one ever to do it. And there's the shot that every Kentucky fan has been waiting for.
Travis Ford hits his first 3 of the game. Rose dribbles out of the pressure.
You see what Steve Fisher did, another very subtle but very smart move. With Juwan Howard out of there, he brings Rose back to be the primary ball handler. He has really had a good game from the sidelines today. I'm talking about Steve Fisher. He's got him.
Weber over Prickett. Second chance.
And no foul.
Hit right in the face at one time. Mashburn saves it on the sideline.
Nice heady play that time. Get the ball back to Jamal.
Riddick pinned by Riley.
Jim, they're letting it get pretty rough in there now, so if you're going to call it consistently, the people can't complain. You talk about quality minutes off the bench. How about Riley's work?
Eric Riley with 2 baskets, 4 rebounds, and a block shot.
Now there's Weber going up, and no foul here or there. And Jim, you talk about, I mentioned Riley coming off the bench. How about Kentucky? Averaged 32 points off the bench this year. Tonight, none.
Well, there's a big 3 that cuts the lead to 2, an 11-point lead down to 2. 16 for Dale Brown.
Not what you want a team to do. Steve Fisher's got to go timeout.
You can see that Kevin Riddick can tie it, and he does.
Got to go timeout.
Travis Ford's father in the foreground. Kentucky has tied it at 54.
And now they do get the timeout.
Michigan calls timeout. Michigan timeout as Kentucky goes on a 10-point run. We'll be right back. With the 10 unanswered, Kentucky has tied it. You see Mashburn, 23 points for the night. Weber has not scored in the second half.
Jimmy, Kentucky 2 for 9 from three-point line in the first half. 4 for 4 here in the second. Travis Ford and Brown got them rolling.
By the way, they've totally taken away Michigan's 3. They have not made a three-point shot, the Wolverines, in this game.
There's the high-low post that they wanted to go ahead and get to, but a nice job by Kentucky defensively.
Now whistle. Call it on Prickett.
And Jim, we've talked about the moves, the subtle moves of Steve Fisher. I think, and here we'll see the replay on it. Prickett doing the job, trying to stay with Weber. Weber's so active and gets fouled trying to help out. But I think the thing that Rick Pitino has done so well today is be patient with what his team does well, even when they got behind.
Weber followed up. Ray Jackson. There's his mom and dad, his father, a high school track and football coach at LBJ High School in Austin. The Texas Relays are this weekend. He told him a long time ago, I'm not going to be there that Final Four weekend. I'm going to watch my son in New Orleans.
Great block out on the shooter by Juwan Howard.
You know what's so great about that? It was 20 feet out, too.
Yep.
20 feet away from the basket.
He knows he has a responsibility against a superstar and did the things that you're fundamentally taught to do. Otherwise, he turns his back. Jamal picks it up and goes in for a layup. They're wanting to go high-low.
Prickett, his 4th.
And he's playing pretty good defense down there. He's just against a little stronger guy.
And that's the 6th team foul against Kentucky. The next one will put Michigan in the 1-1.
Now, can they make a move and put Riddick over there and let Pritchett take Howard? See if they switch men. Nope, they keep him on Weber, and Weber's going to want it.
Howard wants it. Pump fake. Too strong. And Travis Ford with the rebound. Stolen away. Ray Jackson.
Tell you, he has become a real fine basketball player. Strictly one-dimensional last year. Now he handles it. Excellent rebounder.
He has become one of their better players.
Yes, he has, without question. Suffered that injury against North. That should have been a foul on Prickett running down the screener.
King lost it to Ford. That would have fouled Prickett out.
Yeah, this is a very difficult game to try to figure refereeing out, to be honest with you.
Prickett at the other end, +1.
Kid's a competitor, isn't he?
And with the free throw, he could put Kentucky back in front and give the Wildcats their first lead since 8 minutes remain. With 8 minutes remaining in the first half, their last lead, 22-21.
Well, the young man really busted it, because on the other end of the floor, he ran through the screener, but he got himself up in a hurry and then got back down the court. Now King goes out, who's been doing the job shadowing Ford. See if that opens up a hole for Ford to get off some kind of a shot.
This is for the lead. Kentucky's first in 20 minutes of game action.
If you're Michigan, you got to think high-low right now.
Mashburn on the reach in. His second, and it's a 1-and-1.
Jim, here's what I talk about. Prickett ran right through the screen, knocks Jackson down. No call on that. Officiating very inconsistent here in the second half. And on both sides. I mean, that one should have been a foul on Kentucky. There have been others which should have been fouls on Michigan.
Jamel Martinez in for Kentucky. Prickett will sit with the 4 fouls.
A nice piece of coaching by Rick Pitino. He wants that young man down the stretch, even though he's a freshman.
Weber 54% on the season, shooting a 1-and-1.
Two big guys inside. Jim, Ford has not been out of this game, has he? Kind of pulling the Bobby Hurley on us.
By the way, Weber often maligned at the free throw line. His free throw shooting is 6 for 6 in the game from the free throw line.
Well, you get maligned when you don't make 50% of it.
Yeah. 52% career. He swats it away.
As we're looking at a Michigan, and that's a call on Weber, a little retaliation.
Or Mashburn.
Mashburn, excuse me.
That's the third on Mashburn.
We see Chris Weber holding his ground, going straight up in the air. Blocks it away, and of course this team from Michigan broke their own record in '92, where they had 182 blocks. They're up and above that this year.
Prickett right back for Martinez. And Rose will shoot the 1-and-1.
And I talked about Ford not coming out, talked about great conditioning. A young man this year dropped 17 pounds to go from 166 to 149. So you know he can run all day long.
Talked to Jalen last week. Press conference, and he was almost wistful in recalling the '92 team. We were fun-loving new kids on the block. Hasn't been as much fun for him this year, although the record is much better.
You know, in a way, they remind me of Joe Hall's great 1978 champions that labored under the expectations for an entire year, and then finally did win the national championship, beating Duke in that final with Jack Gibbons having a great game. Fine defense by Howard. Double team by 2 big men. Look at Jamal get out of it.
Riddick.
That's just a great job by Kentucky to recognize what had happened.
Oh,
Jalen on a
charge called against Rose. Dale Brown drew it. That's the second whistle on Rose.
Tried to bust right through. Good job getting over in front. Jalen saying, tell that guy to get one step. Now what that relates to in the rules, I don't know.
By the way, that basket by Riddick, the first bench points of the game for Kentucky. Follow up, Cricket again, kicks it out.
Smart.
Mashburn.
Nice play.
Oh, and he let Brown too much.
Kind of surprised Jamal threw it away. Brown's still down on the sideline, Jim. He really went after it. Dude hurt his shoulder. Of course, that, is what put Ray Jackson down, was the shoulder injury in that game against the University of North Carolina out at the Rainbow Classic. I remember his injury. He walked off the court, and there were 9 guys playing. They didn't realize he was over there. We'll see Brown just letting it all hang out here and going for it. He goes down, and
You know, it's
just
actually,
it, huh?
I'm not sure if it's that or if he didn't hit the leg of the table that's underneath the curtain.
It looks like it's his shoulder, though.
May have hit the leg of that table, the support table for the media.
Again, not intended whatsoever to try to help the Michigan club with an injury, but again, this gives Steve Fisher, for the second time today, a free timeout. The first one, remember, the blood on Weber's jersey. Very beneficial for Michigan here.
And Brown, an injury to his shooting arm. He is 6 of 10 in this game, including 4 for 6 from three-point land.
Well, I thought that Kentucky was kind of on schedule to do what they did against Alabama this year, where they were only 3 for 16 from 3, but they have turned things around here of late, shooting much better.
Michigan with possession and a 1-point lead.
And nobody back here to help Jimmy King. He's going to face the double. That's a dangerous move by Michigan. Backcourt.
Yep, backcourt violation.
See, what happened, Jim, is that nobody came to help Jimmy King. So he was all by himself on half court, which made it perfect for Kentucky to create the trap. Now it's too late to come for him because all of the press is in the passing lane. Excellent job by Kentucky. Surprised Michigan didn't recognize it.
Rodney Dent in. He has 4 fouls. 6 minutes remaining. Kentucky can take the lead right here.
Not a turnover because he didn't dribble it. Oh, I love this matchup, Howard and Mashburn. Great college defender against a great offense.
Weber clears for Michigan.
And now Mashburn teamed up with Weber down inside. It's fun to watch these two guys when they get matched up head to head. I'm sure people on the next level will be watching that in years to come.
Mashburn won't let him get it inside to Weber.
Nice patience by Michigan here, considering the score just up 1. They're not trying to force anything.
5 on the shot clock.
Got to put it up.
Howard. Mashburn tips. And King clears. Mashburn almost tipped it in by accident.
That was some possession from rebounding standpoint. So many bodies pushing inside.
Michigan has the lead at the 5-minute-to-go mark. They've never lost this season when they led with 5 minutes to go, Billy.
At 29-0 at that point. We had that stat in the first game, remember, in regard to Kansas. As long as they were ahead at the 5-minute mark, they were undefeated. Well, they were not today. And it worked out as far as the stats go. There's the leaner again.
And the rebound. Howard kept it alive into the hands of Travis Ford.
Two teams showing a lot of guts here today. You know, I thought maybe one mentally would crack in a game like this, but that hasn't been the case, which is true testimony how tough these kids are.
Ray Jackson collects his 4th. Billy, you can just sense it. We're set for a big finish. 4:14 remaining. Two #1 seeds, two giants colliding at the Superdome in New Orleans. The winner faces North Carolina Monday night for the national championship.
But Jim, you know what was so neat about the mind game of this leading up to the game? You know, the kids from Kentucky had to respect what the Michigan players have done in their careers. The Michigan players had to respect what Kentucky has done on this run. And so, I thought one or the other of them, not throw in the towel, but all of a sudden just say, hey, I'm in a different level, and it hasn't happened at all.
So Prickett hits the front end of the 1-and-1. This can put Kentucky in front. 6'9" freshman from Fairmont, West Virginia. There's Don and Linda Prickett, mom and dad.
And here's the precious. Dent makes a tough target to throw over. Trying to do too much, huh?
And Weber puts it up wildly.
Jim, I think Weber tried to do too much on that possession.
Dell, somebody reaches in. It was Rose to take it away. Break chance now for Michigan.
The little man's back. Oh, yes, the basket counts.
Ford grabbed him. Rose got it to drop.
Well, 5'10" or 11 going up against 6'8", and Jalen makes another spectacular play. This is one of the few times today Michigan's been able to convert, even when they had an open one. And I wouldn't call that intentional. He went for the ball. Just good concentration by Jalen Rose.
Rose with 16 in this game. Steve Fisher said about him, Jalen is a winner. I honestly think his concentration and play is better when there is heavy-duty pressure. And that's what you have here. 3:45 remaining.
Push off inside. Weber didn't get by with it. He pushed.
For Weber, that's his third.
Yeah, he pushed Delk right underneath the basket. Number 4 put an arm on number 4, and that's his third.
Meanwhile, Dale Brown, we're hearing from the Kentucky people, they say a shoulder separation.
And he looks like he's in considerable pain there. Of course, that, as we mentioned, put Ray Jackson out of commission for a while for Michigan.
Roderick Rhodes returns. Rodney Dent will be at the line for a two-shot situation.
Two freshmen on the floor right now for Kentucky in Rhodes and Delk. Two former high school All-Americans, highly recruited players.
Well, the official signal too, but they have only 9 team fouls on the board, so that was a 1-and-1. And give Dent, a 51% free throw shooter, credit for knocking them both down. So a break in the action. This was the final score between Carolina and Georgetown 11 years ago. We'll be right back. Michigan with 2 timeouts remaining. Kentucky all 3, and the Wildcats have the arrow. Let's talk about strategy here, Billy Packer, in the last 3 minutes, 44 seconds.
Well, Jim, we talked about what would this game be, 94 feet or 19-9. I would have to say it became a 19-9 game. One of the reasons why I think that Michigan has been able to do so well in this game. We also have to think about, will fatigue be the factor? And the last thing that I think is important the rest of the way is free throw shooting. Neither team very good from the line, and Weber gets a big roll.
How about the passing by Michigan right out of the timeout? And they got the ball into the hands of the driving Weber, and he'll shoot one for a 3-point opportunity.
Well, Howard and Weber, how many minutes have these two guys played together now in 2 years? Plus, they played in some high school all-star games, plus during the summer. Excellent passing inside. Tough to catch a ball when you know you're going to run into somebody. And I said free throw shooting. Is that Weber 7 for 7?
7 for 7, Billy. Yes, indeed. Michigan, in fact, 17 of 19 for the game.
And they're a 64% team free throw shooter.
Delk seeing some big minutes here.
Yeah, but you notice they're not looking for any threes. They just kind of dribble and looking for somebody else to pass to. Let's see if Delk will take one. Looking to go inside.
He gets it inside. Delk to Rhodes. And a foul against Jalen Rose. Super Saturday at the Final Four. North Carolina, 10-point winner earlier today. Jim Nance and Billy Packer with 3 minutes, 15 seconds remaining.
Young man from St. Anthony's, so they weren't represented by Bobby Hurley in this Final Four, but that great high school tradition continues with this young man from New Jersey.
Roderick played 1 year with Bobby Hurley at St. Anthony's, 3 years with Danny Hurley, and started all 4 of his years for Coach Bob Hurley. Only Jerry Walker of Seton Hall started all of his years at St. Anthony's.
See what a much better job Michigan's doing now against the press, because they're bringing back enough ball handlers so that the press can't be effective.
That foul on Mashburn, Billy, his 4th.
Obviously critical. And remember last year in the great Duke-Kentucky game, Mashburn with the monster mash of a game, but he did foul out. They did not have him available for what turned out to be the pass and shot of the year.
Tonight on CBS, stay tuned for Raven following the conclusion of tonight's game. That's tonight on CBS. 2 shots for Weber, his first miss. By the way, as we see Jackson check back in. Last night down on Bourbon Street, where all the fans gathered, I saw John Pelfrey. Pelfrey told me that Rick Pitino brought back Pelfrey, Richie Farmer, and Sean Woods, all back to the Final Four. Darren Feldhouse couldn't make it. Bringing back the kids that were just a second shy of getting here to the Final Four a year ago.
Jim, we talked about free throw shooting, and that's something that statistically over the course of the year usually kinds of average out. So you mentioned Michigan was 17 for 19, and they're the first signs that get back down to reality.
Ford. Oh, there he is with the big 3 that puts him up 2.
Came up right off the screen, got away from Jackson.
Ahead Howard with a one-handed catch. Feeds Weber underneath. Weber, nope, Howard on the follow.
Boy, those 2 work so well together.
2:25 remaining, tied at 67.
And Jimmy Jackson given no room for. There he goes again.
Ray Jackson leaps high for the rebound.
And Jim, thinking overtime a little bit here at a tie score. Michigan on this great run of wins they've had since Indiana. Played 2 overtime games, won them both. That has not been Kentucky's problem.
Under 2 minutes.
He's looking for Howard to move to get a better angle. There it is.
Howard. Jackson underneath. Put back. Weber tips it in.
Ray Jackson again, Jim. The GW game after the missed fouls. He just works so hard on the boards. Huge putback.
Prickett comes back in.
There will be some tired guys out here. That was a great job by Jackson just to keep it alive with his strength to allow Chris Webber to be in position.
Billy, Jamal Mashburn has not scored from the floor in the last 10 minutes of game action. And a push off on Jimmy King away from the ball.
Now King has really shadowed Ford all day long, and there was a case where he more than shadowed him, put him to the floor. You see the solid screen coming up, and there he tried to come over the screen, and sometimes they've been touch fouls down, and sometimes inside. It's been a little different story. And here's a young man you want on the foul line.
He will shoot. He will shoot 2. 88%, Billy. 2 of them to tie.
Well, he showed some range yesterday in that little horse game. It was unbelievable for a man his size. Transfer from Missouri. Big 8 all rookie team as a freshman out there.
Ties it at 69. 1:26 remaining.
been everything anybody could have asked for two real heavyweights in the college game.
Jalen claps his hand and says, give me the ball. And he'll bring it across.
Weber has position.
On Cricket, up and over. And Michigan takes the 2-point lead.
Great timing by Weber to come from the weak side over.
Under a minute to go.
Picking Mashburn for a basket. He hadn't scored, like you said, in a while, Jim. He's got to be looking offensively to get the ball back. Weber and Howard keep switching on him.
What a critical possession. Down 2. 40 seconds remaining.
Nice patience by Kentucky.
Mashburn. Short. Tipped up.
Smallest guy on the floor.
Takes the 3 for the lead. Dent misses the jam on the follow.
Boy, Dent could have made that play much easier, Jim.
They say it's Kentucky basketball.
I think it was. I think it was. Ray Jackson couldn't get to it.
That's the second huge missed dunk of this NCAA tournament. Timeout, Kentucky.
Now, Jim, what you got to think about, Mashburn has not scored in 12 minutes and 10 seconds. He's your #1 guy. Somewhere he's got to touch this ball. Ford sets the screen for him. That doesn't work. And now if you're Michigan, you got to watch out for a 3.
This clock, by the way, does not register tenths of a second.
Oh, he walked!
Ford got away with it. Has it back and almost turns it over, and a foul call on Michigan.
Travis Ford walked, got by with it. And now you send the 88% free throw shooter with just 10 seconds to the line. And if you're Steve Fisher, you've got to think of what do you want to do? Do you want to get the ball up to half court and then attack with your high-low? There was the walk. Got by with it.
And King called on the reach-in, fouls out. That's his 5th. King fouls out with only 2 points.
Rick acts like he was right on that one. Boy, what a tough young guy. King goes out. Palenka in. 10 seconds. You got plenty of time to get it up the court. Expect Kentucky, obviously, to press.
Ford will shoot 2. 2 to tie with 10 seconds remaining. The game is tied at 71. Timeout, Michigan.
Jim, Michigan has 1 timeout. They can get it up to half court and then proceed from there. The second thing that I think you have to remember, 3 times this year against North Carolina, missed shot and a putback. Against UCLA, a missed shot and a putback to win. And against Indiana, almost a putback. And what are they going to call? Nothing.
No call. Rose now takes the timeout. Timeout with 3 seconds to go.
Not a good idea to waste 7 seconds to get it to half court. You got to get up there with a pass. Rick Pitino saying, I think it was a charge. A no call is made here. Delk moving his feet. Jimmy, I think that you got to call that a charge. The guy put his hand out there. Pitino talks about it, and Rick Pitino agrees with me.
He thought he had it.
Oh, yeah, I think so. The defender moved right out. Jalen Rose puts his hand, and of course, Steve Fisher won't react on the same base that I would, but I think that you don't want to waste 7 seconds to get it to half court. That's too late.
Good point, Billy. They have only 3 seconds now to operate with.
Exactly.
Inbounding at midcourt.
If they get it to half court with 3 seconds, that gives them 7 seconds to go high-low. Now they're almost forced to set some kind of a screen on the wing, get off a jump shot, and as I pointed out, UCLA on a putback for a win, North Carolina a putback for a win, and almost that same situation against Indiana.
Let's sneak a peek now here at Steve Fisher and see what they're diagramming.
Jim, I think what you're looking for is a screen from the opposite side, send the man to the ball for the jumper. They don't have time for a lot of interior passing on this play. They got to get a shot off quickly and then hope that they can get a putback for a score. One pass is probably going to be all you can get unless you can get one to hit right under the basket. We have no tenths of a second on the clock here at the Dome. And now Michigan has no more timeouts, but that shouldn't be a factor.
Kentucky has 2.
And probably won't be a factor there either, because if something happens and a basket goes in, Kentucky sure wouldn't be able to get much going, except we said that last year when the miraculous pass took place by Grant Hill to Christian Laettner.
I think the Kentucky kids are thinking at all about how they were shot down on the last second shot a year ago.
And now what happens is Rick Pitino with the 2 timeouts to seize what the deployment is for Michigan and calls a timeout himself.
So timeout Kentucky. We'll take one with them. We'll be right back.
Jim, Rick Pitino changed his defensive deployment. He's not putting a man on the ball. Look for Jalen Rose to handle it, get the shot up, and then
Here's Rose.
Go rebound it.
Rose puts the shot up. We're going to overtime. Michigan, its 4th overtime game in its last 8. Not much of an opportunity here, Billy.
Well, this is all you can do. A good idea by Michigan. Get the shot up and then go to the boards. Jalen Rose wanting the foul. I think pretty good no call there. Dent held his arms up.
Jim Nance and Billy Packer, and let's take one more look at this last opportunity for Michigan to win it, Billy.
Well designed play. Jalen Rose to get it up, and then you can see 4 men going to the boards. He just didn't get anything up soft enough. And what really hurt Michigan, Jim, was you go back, it took them 7 seconds to get the ball to the half-court point to make that play. With 3 seconds, they'd have had a full 7. Probably could have got a better shot. Oh, Weber stole the jump. Weber stole the jump. They're going to give it to Kentucky. Remember at the opening tap, the ball was not thrown high enough. This time Dent wasn't quite ready and Weber stole it, and it cost him.
By the way, they're each awarded 1 extra timeout in the overtime, so Kentucky will have 2, Michigan 1.
And 2 factors. 2 factors. You've got Brown out of the game with an injury for Kentucky, and likewise on the other end you've got Jimmy King sitting over there who's fouled out. Both teams hurt with quality players there.
Travis Ford. Weber had it knocked loose.
Steal.
And underneath, Delk scores.
Delk knocked it out of Chris Weber's hands, and you don't see that often. Prickett picked up his 5th.
He's out, holding Juwan Howard. Fouls out, Billy, with 9 points.
He had the monster game, of course, against Florida State, but the young man's averaging right at about 5 a game, so he's still above his average there. Did a fine job today playing against a little older, more mature players. Going to be a real outstanding player at Kentucky. Already is a darn good one.
And really blossomed so late in the season.
Yep. Juwan Howard, a 70% free throw shooter.
Does this kid remind you, by the way, of a number 32 named Laettner at all? A little bit? Style of play, that is.
Yeah, a little different.
Howard. That's his first miss. He had been 3 of 3 from the line.
Well, we talked about the great free throw shooting that Michigan had. Look at Jimmy King. Well, I think he's so disappointed that he's not in there on the floor.
(73-72) Kentucky. Mashburn on the drive, flips it short, gets it back.
No charge called.
His first field goal in 12 minutes, 36 seconds. Was that ball touched on the way up the first time?
I don't think so.
Because he got his own rebound, and it never touched the rim.
Have to see the replay on Jim. It was tight. Jalen looking for a shot.
Rose short on the 3. Long rebound to Ford.
You got to be careful here. He'll pull up and take the three. They're cleaning out right now, clearing out right now for Mashburn. He's driving and dishing.
And almost a three-point opportunity called now against Howard, so Mashburn will shoot two.
A very unusual four corners type situation. You put Mashburn up on the top that pulls Howard completely out. You notice Rick Pitino has deployed everybody else on the wings. Makes it impossible to double team Mashburn.
Mashburn only 4 of 7 from the line. This is, by the way, the first overtime game at the Final Four since Michigan-Seton Hall in the championship 1989, 4 years ago today. Kentucky leads by 4.
You notice Michigan getting solid on defense, too, back and back. They didn't press, and they come out in a 2-3 zone. Rick Pitino really changing some things now. Both of these coaches did a masterful job with their teams today.
By the way, this 4-point lead for Kentucky, its largest of the entire game. Howard hit when he shot.
Mashburn fouled him. He pushed him.
Mashburn, that's his fifth.
Now it's not even, Jim. You've got Jimmy King on the bench, Dale Brown on the bench, but now you put the monster on the bench. No question about the foul.
He'll foul out with 26, and as you pointed out, as a year ago, he'll have to watch the rest from the sideline. A year ago, that is, in the East Regional Final against Duke.
And Jim, what that also does is Rick Pitino had decided in the overtime to go to his form of four corners with Mashburn at the top, which we saw. Now he can no longer use that offensive strategy because the substitute Martinez certainly couldn't play that. So look for the ball to be in the hands of Travis Ford the rest of the way. Rather inexperienced team on the floor right now for this situation for Kentucky. Martinez, Delk, Dent, and Rhodes.
2 shots for Howard. (76-73) Kentucky. 3:20 remaining.
Now watch, they have to change their offense now. They go to the 1-4 set. A lot of movement on the insides. So that foul really hurt Rick Pitino's strategy. A lot of movement, making Michigan work now.
Rhodes.
Not a good shot.
On rebound to Jackson, no bump against Delk.
Jim, I think Pitino may even think timeout here. I'll tell you, he's got to change what he's got on the floor.
Rose, this could tie it.
Ray Jackson again.
Swatted away, but a piece of the arm called on Rhodes. And that's 4. 4 on Rhodes.
And Jackson again with great offensive rebound coming in. Tough to block that young man out. Goes up strong on the inside without his buddy Jimmy King on the floor. Jim, look, and I mentioned about Kentucky, and that's here's the move. Pitino is right on top of his game. He had too much youth on the floor. He comes in with Grasso to get another experienced player who's a scorer. He really didn't have enough firepower out there before.
Grasso, a junior from Houston, Texas. Michigan, Billy, you said it in the late going of regulation. Critical time for free throws. They've made 4 of their last 9, and Mrs. Jackson can't even watch.
Of course,
she'll get the play-by-play from Ray Sr.
You go back to Brasso's early years. He had 25 against LSU one night with 7 threes in the second half. And that's why he's in there now. Not necessarily for threes, but to give some experience and maturity to this club.
It's a 1-point lead for the Wildcats. 2:25 remaining.
Ford knows he needs to put up something here. He's the guy that's left out there that's the starting player that can score.
Oh, he dribbled it off the back of his foot.
How that foul changed this game, didn't it? Because Michigan just couldn't handle Mashburn in that other offense.
12 on the shot clock.
Nice job by Weber. Didn't give Ford a chance.
Martinez, one-handed shot.
See, they don't have any scoring on the floor.
Michigan 3-on-2. Rose in a pinch. Bounced off of Howard's knee, but Weber in the right spot. Now, Michigan can take the lead right here.
You'd think they think that inside game again with Weber and Howard and just be patient till they get it. There it goes.
Howard over Martinez. Ball tipped out. Touch last by Michigan.
You know, Weber didn't have any legs, Jim, to go up for that rebound. You notice that?
He had position, too.
He did. He was anchored to the floor with his feet. He could not get off the ground. But you can't fault him. He's played some kind of game today.
And Rick Pitino takes one of his timeouts away. Each team now has one remaining. Each team with one timeout left. Michigan with the arrow. Dent, Ford, Martinez, Brasso, and Delk on the floor for Kentucky. Michigan answers with Jackson, Weber, Pelinka, Howard, and Rose.
Well, what's interesting here is you have one starter on the floor, a normal starter on the floor for Kentucky, 4 normal starters, and Pelinka, who has been a starter on the floor for Michigan. Great deal of difference in experience now.
Martinez, a quick three, and Delk with the rebound.
Pelinka foul.
Pelinka bumped into Delk.
Martinez, you talk about giving a coach heart failure. There was no hesitancy. He came out there and put it right up. And here's the foul. Pelinka coming over without question, hitting.
Delk will shoot 2 free throws.
And Martinez, that was only his 33rd three-pointer attempt of the year. Shooting well, though. It's 53%.
About the freshman from Brownsville, Tennessee, Tony Delk.
A phenomenal scorer in the Tennessee high school ranks in his career.
Showed no pressure on those two. 1:10 remaining. 3-point Kentucky lead.
How about the confidence Rick Pitino has in various players in a given game? It's amazing. Oh, there's Martinez and Weber. They're going after it down inside.
Jackson driving.
Counts.
Got it.
It counts.
And one. Ray Jackson can tie the game with the following free throw.
And Jim, what made that is Martinez had to do so much work. You can see him down inside on Weber. See, he's battling Weber. He could not get over in time to get Ray Jackson.
By the way, that's their first field goal in the overtime. All of their points had come from the line, Billy.
You see Martinez, he's just hung up there with Chris Weber and just can't get there.
Jimmy King, his roommate, his fellow Texan, now for the tie with 56 seconds to go.
Jordan.
Who is it?
Yes,
Michigan basketball.
Pitino wants to make a change for defense. Roderick Rhodes coming in. Brasso probably coming out too late. Can't get him in the game.
Down 1. Rose lost it for a moment.
Another good play by Dell. Chris Weber thinks he can take Martinez.
He wants it. He gets it. He drives, scores. Michigan has taken the lead.
Yeah, he smelled that opportunity.
Final 30 seconds of overtime. Michigan has fought back from 4 down to lead
Nice
by
pass.
1. Dent lost it. Tipped over to Rose. And he is clobbered, sandwiched by 2 Kentucky players.
Boy, you wonder why Juwan Howard tipped that ball, Jim. The possession is so important now. If you got it in your hands, keep it. Yep, Dent the same way. You remember the dunk that he had a chance before? Here Weber just on a spin move. Martinez just not capable of handling him, and Chris Weber used that arm a little bit, sometimes called. Got away with it on that one and made the great spin move inside.
21 seconds remaining.
What do you think that 1957 North Carolina Kansas game felt like, going 3 overtimes?
2 for Rose, who has made 4 out of 5 tonight. He could put Michigan in front by 3,
which is critical, considering Ford the shooter.
Got one of them.
That was pure.
When Mashburn went out, fouled out, Kentucky led by 4.
Right. Jim, the whole game changed. The whole philosophy as to how you play the game changed when he went out.
Got them both. The timeout has been called. No signal which huddle called it. We'll be right back and we'll tell you who. That timeout was called by Michigan, and they didn't signal, Billy, before we went to the break, so we apologize. But what about that timeout by the Wolverines?
I don't think that was a wise time to take one for a couple of reasons. It gives Kentucky an opportunity to go ahead and set up their offensive pattern, and maybe even more importantly, Jim, with just 21 seconds, you don't have the opportunity to go ahead and get another time. Let's suppose they tie it up with a 3 near the wire. You don't have a chance to call that timeout, stop the clock, and get your chance at the other end of the floor. So I really think that's one that Steve Fisher should have saved. You know what you want to do on defense more than they know what they wanted to do on offense.
Well, you know one thing Kentucky would like to see happen right now. They'd like to get the ball into the hands of Travis Ford for a 3-point try.
And they bring Junior Brady in the game. We talked about this incredible confidence that Rick Pitino has in every member of his squad. Brady has not played 1 second of this game, and he comes on the floor now in this tight situation.
And look out, Billy, he's wearing that number 23 that people have talked about so much this week, and he's headed to the same goal that number 23 Michael, number 23 Keith Smart, who made shots at the buzzer.
Michigan tried to take a little time off the clock of Kentucky by picking up full court. And here's the solid screen for Ford.
Needing a 3 to tie.
They're switching all over out front. They're not wanting them to take the 3. You notice this? They're letting everything go inside.
Martinez. Rebound. Last touch by Michigan. 4 seconds to go. Now Kentucky has 1 timeout. Will they use it here?
And Jim, there's why I said it wasn't a good idea for Michigan to call a timeout. See, they would have had no opportunity to stop the clock.
They won't take their timeout.
Now, Weber has to be careful not to touch that ball across the line. That'd have been a technical foul.
Michigan leads by 3.
They'll give them a 2-point shot. That's
stolen by Weber. Delk just flings it toward the goal.
They did it.
Michigan is headed to Monday night's championship game. The Wolverines simply fabulous. Angie Fisher hugging, and there's Weber with Bossard. It'll be Michigan and North Carolina on Monday night.